Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show. Today we are going to make 3 types of mayo.
Whole food, plant-based, it's the best thing for our taste. So pull up a chair and grab a plate, 'cause it's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Okay guys, so mayo. Several people have asked me for a mayo recipe that is fat-free. Oil-free I can do. Fat-free, I'm going to do one version of cauliflower mayo, so the base is cauliflower, and the other just still has fat in it, but it's a whole food fat made with raw cashews. So we're going to start with the cauliflower one. So I have here just my magic bullet or my NutriBullet, which will work just as great, and I have roughly 1/3 cup of cooked, just boiled cauliflower, and I haven't mashed it or anything yet because that's going to happen in here. I'm going to look at my recipe here. Then I have about 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice. One teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And I really like to use Bragg's apple cider vinegar because it's organic and because there's a lot of mother in there, as you can see, and that's the really healthy stuff for you. Then we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon Mustard. I can get it out of there. And that's really what gives it your pack, just that powerful punch of flavor. 1 teaspoon of Bragg's liquid aminos, and this is going to give it a bit of saltiness. Because mayos are kind of salty and just slightly sweet and very tangy. So a 1/2 date is going to do our sweetness. And then we're going to put 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. And this is my favorite onion powder. I know you've all seen me mention this before, and I'll give you a link in the details below along with the recipe to where you can buy this wonderful onion powder. I just love it. And because it's cauliflower and it doesn't have a fat to make it emulsify and get thick, we're going to use just a little bit of arrowroot powder, or you could use tapioca starch. It does just about the same thing. We are going to use a teaspoon of that, but I'm just going to kind of roughly shake it in there. That's about a teaspoon. We're just going to blend it till it's smooth. Okay, so it doesn't move as well without the water, so we're just going to add just a little bit of water, maybe not even 1/4 cup, maybe about 1/8 cup of water. Because if you add too much water, then the mayonnaise, when it's done, will separate and it just doesn't look very appealing. And it just is a little bit watery. Okay, there's 1 mayo done. But it's always down to the taste, right? That's what the cucumber's for. And if you can see that, it has the consistency of mayo. It's beautiful. So we're just going to set this guy aside. Now we're going to go with the regular flavored mayo with cashew. So I'm going to flip my recipe over here. So it's 1/3 cup of raw unsalted cashews, 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice. So it's very, very close to the same recipe. Maybe the ingredients are tweaked just a teeny bit. Like the apple cider vinegar, we're going to put 2 teaspoons in this one. Just to give it a little bit more of that tanginess. Oops. And a teaspoon of Dijon, just like the other one. Teaspoon of Bragg's. Oops, put this over here. 1/4 of a teaspoon of the onion powder. Half of a date, and 1/4 of a cup of water. And this one does need the full 1/4 of a cup because the cashews will create a very thick mayonnaise. And I'm just going to use the same lid because they're both mayos, right? We're just going to do the same thing, blend it until it's smooth and creamy. Okay, there we go, another smooth and creamy mayo recipe. And if you wanted to, you could soak your cashews for a couple hours first and then drain off the water. But I find that you really don't need to do that. Delicious. Now for number 3. This is a Chipotle flavored mayo. So I'm going to use the same cashew base. You could do the cauliflower if you wanted to. So the cauliflower one, you follow the same exact recipe, and then in the end, you add 1/2 teaspoon of chipotle powder and 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. But I prefer the cashew kind. I don't mind that it has a little bit of fat to it. So 1/3 of a cup of cashews, 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of Bragg's, 1/4 of a teaspoon of the onion powder, 1/2 of a date, and then 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of chipotle powder. Maybe just a little bit more in there. And then the same thing, we need our 1/4 cup of water. And we're just going to use the same blender lid. And there you have it. Yet another creamy, delicious mayo recipe. No oil. You guys are just gonna love this. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe so you can get more of my delicious recipes. And I'll see you next time.